Police have identified the suspected shooter as 22-year-old Anderson Lee Aldrich. Police say he entered the club just before midnight on Saturday and began shooting immediately with a long rifle. 2 weapons were found at the scene. And now, more details are emerging about the suspected shooter, including a 2021 arrest for felony menacing and first-degree kidnapping, according to a news release at the time, after his mother says he threatened her with a homemade bomb and other weapons.
There's details about the terrorist murder who went into the Colorado Springs bar over the weekend and crashed that drag show and decided to kill 5 people and injure countless more. So let's go to more details of who he was and also the way folks have responded to this, because that's another big deal, because this is why these things happen. I need to get into these details. Let's go to this, because they talked about his interaction with his mother. So a year and a half before he was arrested in that Colorado Springs gay nightclub shooting that left 5 people dead, Anderson Lee Aldrich allegedly threatened his mother with a homemade bomb, forcing neighbors in surrounding homes to evacuate while the bomb squad and crisis negotiators talked him into surrendering. It sounds like an event no one will forget if it happens in their neighborhood. Yet despite that scare, there's no public record that prosecutors moved forward with felony kidnapping and menacing charges against him, or that police or relatives tried to trigger Colorado's red flag law that would have allowed authorities to seize the weapons and ammo that the man's mother says he had with him. Now, gun control advocates say that his June 2021 threat is an example of a red flag law ignored with potentially deadly consequences. So while it's not clear that the law could have prevented Saturday night's attack, because such gun seizures can be effective for as little as 14 days and be extended by a judge in 6-month increments, they say it could have at least slowed Aldrich and raised his profile with law enforcement. Or that whole rule with the 14 days and then lead to 6-month increments by the judge, that could have been carried out. Because if someone has a bomb threat, holds their mom hostage, and the entire neighborhood is looking at it, and bomb threats come out, and authorities come out and talk him down and get him out there, that seems like an event that you might want to put on a 14-day hold and then extend in 6-month increments for the rest of his damn life. Maybe, just maybe, I don't know. Or just say, it wasn't enough and move on. See, those details about these red flag laws aren't always talked about whenever we have politicians bitching and complaining about it. They just say red flag laws, how dare they? This is the Second Amendment, this is America. I get to shoot up anybody I want. I can form my terror cells and incite people to do this type of stuff because it's America.
Yeah, and this guy threatening his own mother with a homemade bomb is insane, because more frequently than ever, when we have these cases, we find out that the people who are their family members and who are close to them knew that they were dangerous, knew that they were unhinged and about to do something. They knew they were mentally unwell. And so we really have to think, if we want this stuff to stop happening, how do we create community structures where the mother feels safe to go to someone else about what their child's going through? I mean, we have to really take care of each other in these kinds of situations and develop alternatives to the police, because there's a reason people are afraid to call the police in those situations. Oftentimes, they make matters worse. So what structures are we going to create and invest in so that we can address situations like this when they arise?
It's a good thought. Maybe it's like preventative or something, right? It's almost understanding the situation and where these origins of these situations come from and nipping that in the bud. That's if you're interested in doing so. There's other folks that are interested in progressing this. Start with Ted Cruz, because he went and tweeted. He says, Heidi and I are praying for the victims and loved ones impacted by the horrific shooting in Colorado Springs. He's praying for the victims and the loved ones. This senselessness evil needs to end. I couldn't agree more. That's what Cruz said. He raked in more gun lobby money than any other lawmaker from Texas, and he tweeted that whole thing out. He also went on, while Democrats rush to politicize before the facts are fully known, stripping law-abiding citizens of their Second Amendment right is wrong and will make us less safe. Here's one tweeter who responded to that, who was thinking exactly what I was thinking. You just politicized it, is what this person said. Instead of focusing on the gun, maybe focus on the target. LGBTQ plus individuals, and hold your party accountable for the demonization, prejudice, and constant attacks they leverage towards the LGBTQ community, which only empowers the evil that did this. Couldn't have said it better. So this evil needs to end. You notice he didn't identify that evil, because that evil is him. That face right there, that's part of the evil. You can't say it because it'll be looking into a mirror And accountability is something that Republicans and conservatives have absolutely no interest in engaging in. There's more, because Matt Walsh decided to take it a step further. He said this: leftists are using, listen to this. Leftists are using a mass shooting to try and blackmail us into accepting the castration and sexualization of children. These people are just beyond evil. I have never felt more motivated to oppose everything they stand for with every fiber of my being. Despicable scumbags. Leftists are using a mass shooting to try and blackmail. You can't get blackmailed unless you're doing something that you're trying to hide. Unless someone finds out you're evil and says, I'm gonna tell everybody about how you're motivating people to murder. Unless you go and allow us to, what do you say, castrate and sexualize children. Sure, bro, that's what it is. He went on though, he said more. People die, and the first thing they think is, yes, we can use this as ammo against conservatives who don't think children should be exposed to drag shows. Soulless demons, evil to the core, truly. Yes, he understood that he was using ammo in that particular statement after these folks were murdered by someone with huge guns in front of them. But it's ammo used against conservatives is what he's saying. It goes back to their leaders' point. I'm the victim. They're always the victim right after they murder. There's one more though. Candace Owens said this: I just want to make sure that I'm correct in understanding that the left is using the tragedy in Colorado to make the argument that unless conservatives get on board with experimenting on children's genitals with puberty blockers, then nightclub shootings will continue to happen. Oh, so now you're getting pinned against the wall. Oh my God, I can't believe that you guys want us to stop demonizing people. And then when someone who listens to us and believes us goes and murders in our name, that you're mad at us over it. How dare you? This is why this continues to happen. This is why this continues to happen, Burbank.
I really think that all politics is local. And it's interesting that Democrats are responding to this with, yeah, we need national gun control. We need to have these narratives stop coming out about the LGBTQ plus community. But you never hear them say something like, well, we should have town halls across the country wherever a Democrat was elected about this issue and have people actually educate people in communities about what the LGBTQ community is. Have members of the community that they know and support. I was in rural Iowa, which is so conservative. And there was a transgender kid that grew up in that high school and was beloved and changed so many people's views of what it means to be transgender. Like if you have conversations in the community and they can see someone that they know and love, that changes things. But it seems that both parties would rather have fights over political issues that don't really reach people. Like all of this talk on Twitter has very limited impact, and they know exactly what they're doing by saying these inflammatory things is distracting everybody from the real solutions to the problems we face.
There's people behind this, and that's the reasons why the rhetoric is always looking to make them seem like they're less than human, because you can murder much easily if you consider folks not human. So I retweeted this one thing. I just want to reread it. I wish I had made this a graphic. But the parents of one of the victims held a picture of their son up when he was 5. And this was the explanation behind it. I just want to read it really fast, you guys. Jim and Sabrina Ashton's son Daniel died last night at Club Q. He was a bartender, but last night he was also performing. He was a trans man, and they feel strongly that speaking out may help others. Right after their son got murdered. This is a photo of them holding a photo of Dan at 5 years old. And the devastation and sadness on their faces can't be explained, and it's never gonna go away. But it's there because there's people who wanted to win an election. There's people that want to motivate their voters to vote for them based off of nonsense rather than policies, principles, and ways they could actually represent them and maybe make their lives better. Maybe live up that whole American dream that we always talk about. None of that matters to them. What matters to them is fomenting anger, hate, division, and violence. And once that comes to fruition, they're like, great, did I get elected yet? If I didn't, here's a couple thoughts and prayers until next time. That's this motivation. That's the cycle that we continue to go through. But these folks, they're stuck in this point of this cycle and mourning their son's death and the other folks that died and the other folks that were injured and maimed. And maybe just as importantly, the other folks that may want to go out next weekend to that next bar and see that next show. Because who knows now? Because we've got terrorists running around the country that have been motivated by our leaders and have been given free rein to do so.